Hey guys, Casual Crono here. By request, I've been asked to review and explain how to use Alma. And I think this is a good time. It is early January 2024, and Alma is about to appear as an AS form, as a crystal tank. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping I can either pull her or hopefully get the treatises, codexes, whatever I need to upgrade her when that's released. Should be within a week or so. Anyway, so Alma is a fairly complex character, and I think that's why she's kind of overlooked. You know, when they talk about the meta characters, they talk about Yakumo, Sesta, Minalka. I personally rank Alma kind of up there with them, but pretty much no one else seems to. One of the reasons I like Alma so much is because her upgraded attack, Ether Alchema, it's a crystal type attack that it inflicts poison, and most importantly to me, it pierces barriers. So she has a barrier piercing attack. No questions asked, no setup. She casts it, it pierces. And the strength is based on a user's power, but it's a magic attack, and I think that confuses some people as well. Maybe not confuse, because it's fairly straightforward, but basically you want to build Alma with power, even though she's doing magic damage. So I think that throws off some people. Other benefits to Alma: she has a lunatic ability, and she has the ability to give herself lunatic again and again and again and again. If it's a long drawn-out battle, she can use lunatic basically as often as she wants, as long as she has the elixir ray skill. Among her other skills that I like, Crystal Fragger I've used multiple times, and it improves damage when you hit a weak point. Well, she also has Brain Record, which changes her attack to the target's weak point, and that lasts the entire fight. So if you're fighting one boss that's weak against fire, you cast Brain Record, and suddenly Alma is doing extra damage to fire. And if the very next boss is weak to wind, you cast Brain Record, and now Alma's attacks are wind attacks, and she does, extra damage with them. So Alma has the ability to manipulate her own skills. Even though she's a crystal user, Ether Alchema could be a fire attack, it could be earth attack, water attack, wind attack. It can be basically whatever she wants it to be. And it's barrier piercing. That alone made me go, oh, this could have a lot of possibilities. So let's get down to business and talk about gearing her. Grasta-wise, it would make sense to give her poisons or pains, and I happen to have pains already set up for her. But if you did power of pain, and venom, that is totally acceptable as well. So, power of pains, and I have the bullseye, the MP consumption attack, and I upgraded the Agony Grasta to be a 35% increase in damage versus the base of 30%. I could have given her weakness or adversity or, many other upgrades. I'm actually avoiding the weakness upgrade because through ores, the weakness upgrade basically boosts her damage by 10%. However, the weakness badge improves her damage by 30%. So the weak point badge, damage by 30%, it does not stack. So if I have an ore that's a weak point ore and I have the badge equipped, only the badge takes effect. I really like the weak point badge in part because, if you remember, her skill set allows her to manipulate weaknesses. Now, if you don't have the weak point badge, you could always give her a power badge, something like that, but you want her to have a high power. As far as weapons go, as always, the Elpis bow is the best possible weapon. She always crits, it has the overthrow effect, but you can always look through your gear and see what else you have. For someone that just pulled her, you may or may not have the Elpis weapons. So, for example, the Void Bow might be a good choice. It gives her a guaranteed crit, and it still improves her attack. Other things like Prismatic Bow usually crit, things like that. So feel free. Miyake's bow, I used that on her for a while. As long as she had max health, she would do extra damage. So go ahead and look through your weapons and pick on something that will help your DPS. Let's go with the Void Bow to start with. As far as armor, anything that would improve her damage. So Elpis Ring, of course, improves damage if her health drops below 80. Dryad's Ring improves her critical strength, which if she's using a weapon that has 100% crit rate, that means her crits will be more powerful. And so forth and so on. For a long time, I used the Guidance Ring. I don't remember where I got the Guidance Ring from, but I've had it forever, so I think it should be accessible to most people, and it improves type attack. So we'll give her the Guidance Ring and Void Bow to start with, and the Weak Point badge. We have Alma, no sidekicks or anything yet, so let's take a look at what she does on the test dummy. Now realize, of course, that I don't have a way to set pain. So, on the first turn, I could try to do Brain Record and figure out what this guy's weakness is. Now, we know on the test dummies they don't have a weakness, so this would be kind of a wasted moment. However, Brain Record, I'm going to go ahead and cast it anyway. It also conveniently shows you how much health and the stats of whatever you're fighting. So you can see, does it have power? Does it have endurance? Spirit? What might affect it, what might not. Apparently it doesn't crit too much, which is not a bad thing because it doesn't really fight back. But you can see now the test dummy has exactly 1 billion health. It does take up a turn though. Alright, I can go into Lunatic mode, which of course increases her damage. It does use up another turn. And I can cast Ether Alchema. And she does about 2 million damage, I think 2.7. She did inflict poison, so if you were using the 3 poison Grasta instead of the 3 pain Grasta, or even some mix, you will see an improvement in damage. And last turn. So at a glance, people who bring her to the test dummy go, oh, that's nothing. That's 8 million damage. That's very low. Not really interested. And then other people will go, well, she has 3 pain Grasta. Let's give her a character that can inflict pain and see how much more damage she does. I've already set up a free team, but we're going to go ahead and bring in one pain user, Azami. She's free. She has a skill that sets pain and regardless of target resistance, so Petal Fall. So we're going to cast Petal Fall, and I think all of her skills are some type of attack. So let's see how much more damage Alma does. So we're going to put on pain, and while we're doing that, I'm going to hit Elixir Ray. It will restore my mana, so I don't have to run back to the inn all the time to bulk back up. Alright, we have pain. So, all good, right? Alma's going to destroy this thing. We're going to Lunatic. She'll... it doesn't really matter at this point what she does. So, we'll just keep Petal Falling. We'll just have to remember that she does about 3 million per swing as well. Alright, Ether Alchema time. Last time it was doing something like 2.7, 2.8 million damage. Let's see how much it does now that there's pain. Only 6 million. That didn't seem like a lot. Well, maybe we didn't see something right. Let's just try it again. Nope, that looked like 6 million. Last Ether Alchema. Yep, 6.2, 6.3 million. So I think a lot of people, so that one was 25 million, and keep in mind, Azami contributed to some of that damage. So I think a lot of people look at that and go, wow, Alma's not really all that good, and they kind of give up on her. But because she has that barrier pierce, I didn't want to give up on her. So we're going to form now a team around Alma. I have made a relatively free team. According to Alma's personality, Alma is a gun user. She is a crystal user. She uses bows as her type attack. And she is an alchemist. She also is a cat lover, according to the wiki. So, Bivette was chosen because she is a very common character and she is a cat lover. I could use Fiend as well. She's also a cat lover, and so both of them could equip it. So if you actually don't have Bivette, we could just use Fiend and give her the exact same Grasta. So personality, cat lover. So, okay, so that's a completely free team. All right, Xion can be gotten for free. Nona's free. Azami's AS form you have to work a little bit for, but her AS form does give you a guaranteed pain. And she also has another attack that inflicts break, so both of those are useful. So, why these characters? Well, we have Fiend or Bivette for that Grasta. Xion is also a gun user. Xion is also a bow user, so Xion is a very good partner to hold Grasta. She can hold the Almighty Powered Gun, which improves Alma's damage by 25%. She has Power of Crystal Bow, which improves crystal damage by 30%. And Enhance if max hit points, so as long as Alma stays at full health, she does another 30%. So Xion is buffing Alma all sorts of ways. Fiend has just the cat lover's Grasta, but that's another 25%. So both of them are boosting Alma's damage. As for the other three, Nona has a few skills that can help. Since they're both bow users, I can actually stick her devotion skill on Alma and then deploy a zone. And it would be a piercing zone, since that's what bow users are. She also has Concordia, which will improve weapon type damage and critical damage for 5 turns. Nice long period of time. So that's Nona's AS style. Azami's AS style. Clart. Clart happens to be a free crystal user, which is kind of nice if you have a crystal zone set and you're doing crystal attacks. However, he also has Terre Luminaire, and it improves crystal type attacks for all party members, and it stacks up to 4 times. And he has some other things too, like reduction barriers and stuff like that, but I was interested in this Terre Luminaire type skill. So he can cast that over and over, up to 4 times, and improve her damage that way. Now there's one kind of catch with zones and everything. If you want a crystal zone, right now, Alma is the only character in the game that can set a crystal zone. And to do that, she has to be in the back row because it's set with her Valor Chant. So if you're fighting a boss and you need to get into crystal zone quickly, you want her to swap with a character that has a high speed. So just for the sake of completion, let's go with speed. I had on Bivette since we were going to use her, but it occurred to me that we have a free character. So Fiend can go and swap out with Alma, and we can set Crystal Zone. So now, let's take a look at this test dummy. Alright, we're going to switch Alma in and set Crystal Zone. We're going to cast this to improve crystal attacks on everyone. In fact, we might even... I don't know what his speed is, so he might actually go before the switch. She is going to set Pain, and she can't cast her Devotion, Devotion, onto Alma until Alma gets here, which is kind of annoying. So instead, we can cast something else and wait. Let's go ahead and just do the water attack. Alright, we have Crystal Zone now, but you'll notice it was kind of clunky. It took a while. We couldn't cast some of the buffs that we wanted to because Alma wasn't around. And Alma herself usually needs a turn or two. She might need to cast Brain Record before she lunatics. So but it's kind of clunky right now, but we do have Crystal Zone. So now that she's here, we can cast Concordia to improve all weapon type damage and critical damage. We can go ahead and set up a break. We can cast Terra Luminaire to start actually buffing her, and she can lunatic. Now you'll notice that Terra Luminaire went before Alma as well. So if I cast break, I have to have Clark doing something that does not cause damage. However, Terra Luminaire stacks, so I want him casting that. So we're just going to go ahead and keep casting that. And we'll just cast Petal Fall again. And at this point, we'll cast that, and she'll Ether Alchema. So now we're in Crystal Zone, we have Pain. She's been buffed a little bit, so now let's see what her Ether Alchema can do. 41 million. That was definitely a lot larger than the, 8 million, 6 million, I think it was 6 million that we saw just previously. And if we work in a break, so we'll cast that, Ether Alchema, and we have to cast something that does not do damage, so let's cast that. There's the break, there's the Ether Alchema. Now we see 96 million in damage. And last turn. Well, let's go ahead and Ether Alchema. Let's do... It doesn't really matter, because we're going to talk about this team in a second. So, well... Alright, so we started to see glimpses of her doing more damage. We saw a 96 million hit, we saw 45 million or whatever it was hit. So the potential is kind of there. But you know what, when you're watching Sesta doing like 1 billion in damage, or Manalka, Yakumo just destroying things left and right, you're probably still thinking, Alma doesn't seem really that powerful compared to them. Why do you, Crono, like using her so much? Alright, Alma's speed is 233. We want Clark to not go before her, but we want Azami to set up the break. So we need to give Clark something that will reduce his speed. We could give him a piece of armor, we could give him a badge that reduces speed. In fact, let's do that. Where's that giant badge? I really need to delete a lot of these badges. Alright, so Clark's speed is now much slower than Alma's, so he should not be interfering. What's Nona's speed? 259. Okay, we want hers to go down as well. So let's go ahead and just give her one of those Toto Theater World badges. Anything that will reduce speed. There we go, speed. Alright, she's going to have lots of health for really no reason. Alright, but her speed is low as well. Now that we've manipulated speed a little bit and put Alma in the front row so she doesn't have to switch in, let's try that fight again. Now Nona is going to cast Devotion on Alma. We're going to go ahead and set up Pain. He is going to go ahead and cast his Earth attack because that improves her crystal damage. And Alma, if this was a real boss, I'd probably be casting Brain Record the first turn to get the weakness. So we're just going to go ahead and reenact that. Alright, we have Pain set. Concordia is now going to deploy a zone based on Alma's weapon type, because that's the purpose of casting the devotion on Alma. We're going to go ahead and set up. Let's see, does Pain last? Okay, 3 turns. We'll do Pain one more time. We're going to go ahead and Lunatic, and we're going to cast Terre Luminaire a second time. So at this point, we now have a piercing zone instead of a crystal zone. Clark has cast his buff twice now, and Alma is lunaticked and has the benefit of Concordia with the double buff effect and everything. So now we're going to find out what Ether Alchema can do. I could keep casting Terra Luminaire now because it basically the order should go, Azami should go first, Alma should go second. So Azami will cast Break and Alma will use it up. And Break is with Fierce Gale Slash. And at this point, her speed is very low as well. So we'll just cast Castigo. No, she went before. Oh, that's right, I think it improves her speed. I forgot all about that. Okay, so knowing that, let's go ahead and finish up her buffs. If she casts Break, actually we don't want him to do any damage. So let's do that, let's do that. Let's take a look at that Ether Alchema one more time. 37 million. Oh, that's annoying. The Sidekick is going to get rid of the Break. And there we saw a 78 million damage Break. So a little more organized, but Alma's still not doing massive amounts of damage. In fact, in Crystal Zone, she did 96 million, whereas this party, with the Break, she was only doing 78 million in damage. So let's talk about Sidekicks for a second. We know that Alma needs power. Morty has a power buff. Each turn he casts it, team gets 10% power, and he can stack it up to 5 times. And then based on his stats, the buff effect can be increased up to 60%. So basically, bottom line, Morty is a good choice because he will improve the team's power, and that's what Alma needs. The longer the fight goes on, the more power she gains. So anyway, this is a free team that can get Alma doing, depending on if you have her swap in on Crystal Zone or whatever. She can do 40, 70, 90 million, 100 million in damage based on what weapons and everything you have. So at this point, you're going, okay, Crono, free team, it can probably kill some bosses. It's not super powerful. It's still not like, Minalka or Yakumo. And I get that. And I think that's why a lot of people get frustrated with trying to figure out how to best use Alma. I'm now going to show you a team that has kind of mid-game characters. And let's give Bivet back that cat Grasta. Same 2 characters in the back row are buffing Alma. These 3, however, are new characters. Now, Garum Barrel was one of the free selector choices recently, so I know a lot of people have him. And then I chose kind of 2 older characters that can both help Alma out. Sidekick-wise, we're sticking with just Tetra and Gunts for right now. Not really because of any particular reason. Tetra's aura will activate if hit points are 80% or below, but as far as damage purposes, he's not necessary. Gunts, if I blow the AF bar at some point, Alma will gain 20% stats, so that's nice. But the sidekicks aren't super important. You could even keep using Morty or just whoever. But let's talk about this team for a second. We have Eva, Milsha, and Garum. We'll start with Garum. I need a pain setter with this setup, and Garum has this skill, which I'm not going to pronounce correctly, Kataris Sfragda, something like that. Anyway, but it inflicts pain and it ignores target resistance. It only lasts 3 turns, but that's okay, I can reapply it. The important thing is it's a guaranteed pain, it won't be resisted. So Garum has that ability, and of course Garum does have some tanking use. Not a lot compared to some, but his other skills that I have an attack skill, and then I have inflicting rage, and improves his physical resistance and type resistance of all party members. So basically my hope is Garum can keep Alma alive, and he can set pain. With pain being set, that just means I need 2 people that can help improve Alma's damage. Eva, a character from a couple of years back, has multiple skills because Eva is a crystal user as well. She has Glacier Veil, which improves crystal type attack of all party members by 25%. She has Glint Purge, which is an attack which will also reduce crystal and water resistance of all enemies by 25%, but it stacks 4 times. She also attacks twice if the enemy's HP is higher than 50%. So if you cast Glint Purge, basically on the first turn, she will attack multiple times, and she can get all the stacks up pretty much on turn number 1. And then she also has Icicle Zorch. Now it's a water type attack, but it inflicts break. And again, if the targeted enemy has more than 50% health, it attacks again. So Icicle Zorch creates a break, Glint Purge reduces crystal resistance, and Glacial Veil improves crystal damage. So Eva is a great partner for Alma. Milsha is another good partner. She has a song, Tragudi Aspida. It affects all characters, and it creates Lunatic. So basically, she will buff Alma's damage through Lunatic status. She also reduces all damage taken by 50%, and any damage that's below 1,000 becomes 0. Now, Garum is not the best tank around, but if he's buffing himself with a 70% resist buff, and then she is singing and reducing all damage by 50, and any damage below 1,000 becomes 0, the 2 of them combined actually kind of work fairly well for tanking. He can inflict rage, so he can direct attacks to him, and she can sing and reduce all those damages basically by half. So I like kind of pairing the 2 of them up for tanking purposes. So if you don't have like Soira AS, Radius AS, Pry even, Garum was a free character, and Milsha's a good complement for him. So now with this team, let's go ahead and check out the test dummy. Now this is still a zoneless team. If I want a crystal zone, I'd have to swap Alma in. So turn 1, we can Lunatic, we can cast Pain, she can start singing, and she can go ahead and Glacial Veil it. I have it set up so that her speed is faster than Alma's, so Eva should always be able to create a break before Alma's turn. Turn 2, we're going to Glint Purge. Again, Eva's going to go first, so that will create a reduction in damage. And at this point, if I start attacking with Garum, it's possible he could use up the break, so I'm just going to inflict the rage. Alma shouldn't have gone first, but you will see now that she did 30 million on that hit, just with this singing and everything alone. And now we have Eva's debuff. So now we're going to Icicle Zorch. She's going to Ether Alchema. And he, again, is just going to reapply pain. So there's Ether Alchema doing 49 million in damage. I believe this is Alma's last turn under her own Lunatic. There's the break. And there's another 97 million. So this team, with some basically tougher characters than the free team, Alma's still pumping out around 97 million damage, give or take. So it kind of seems weird that Alma's not doing more in the way of damage right now. And I could use Elixir Ray to reestablish Lunatic and all that, but it's the last turn, so... And there she does another 19 million in damage. So even with this team, it doesn't really feel like Alma's that powerful. So we're going to take a little trip. First, we're going to restore health and MP. I like using the space-time rift for that. Nice and convenient. And we're going to take a trip to the present. And we're going to go to another world. Another Barokai. And we're going to go fight a super boss with this team, the Dragon God. The Dragon God is naturally weak to crystal. You will remember that in the test dummy fight, previously, when we had the piercing zone, Alma was doing 96 million, and this time around there was no zone, and Alma was still doing around 96 or 97 million. So if you caught on to that, then you'd realize that this team is definitely way stronger, because she was doing the same damage zoneless with this team versus the previous one. So we're going to set Pain. She's going to start singing Glacial Veil. And we are going to go ahead and Lunatic on turn 1. Garum has an ability that reduces the very first attack pretty much to nothing. So that's why no one took any damage. Alright, round 2, Glint Purge, Rage, and she's going to start Ether Alchemy.
Transmute. Watch it.
Alright, round 3, again with no zone. Glint Purge has taken effect. And so we're going to Ether Alchema with 4 stacks of the debuff. I don't want to ruin any break chances, so I'm just going to reapply Pain. But there, Ether Alchema did 109 million damage. And then 4th, I'm just going to do Rage again. Now we have Break, and we see 164 million damage. And that's not in a zone. So the Dragon God was pretty wiped out by this team. Now you could go, well, Crono, why are you bothering with Alma? You could just use Eva as your main damage dealer, which you totally can do. Eva is a very, very powerful character and shines on bosses like this one as well. Alma's flexibility, I think, helps because we can go to other bosses and basically do the same thing. So let's go ahead and try that now. So here we are at Sinus Aestuum, 20,000 BC, deep in the Vasu Mountains. He is a level 9 super boss according to the Wikipedia. And on turn 1, she is going to Brain Record. We're going to go ahead and basically just follow the plan. She's going to sing, he's going to inflict pain, and she's going to Glacial Veil. Round 2, Rage. She's going to Glint Purge to reduce resistances, and Lunatic. And now we have fully debuffed boss, and a Lunatic Alma. Alma's Ether Alchema is now strong against this boss. We're going to go ahead and Icicle Zorch and create the break. And we don't want to ruin the break, so I'm just going to inflict pain again. Yep, well, she went too fast again. But you saw that Alma did 160 million and brought the boss down to its HP stopper. We'll try that one more time. There's the attack, there's the break, and that looked like 331 million in damage.
See? Just as good as
So
magic.
Alma was able to manipulate her attack to match the weakness of that boss. And as you saw, fairly easy time all in all. Once we got set up, we destroyed that thing, and mind you, we still did it without any type of zone in place. That was just Alma's raw power. So now, let's start thinking about what we can do about getting Alma a zone. The issue with Alma is that right now in the game, she is the only crystal zone setter. So moving her from the back row to the front row would take 1 turn. Someone else would have to awaken it, possibly either someone with a very low speed or just awakening it on turn 2. And once the awakened zone runs out, there's no way to recast the zone without having her swapping back to the back row and then back to the front row, all of which is very clunky. However, Alma, since she's a bow user, can also make use of piercing zones, and since she does magic damage, despite having power, a magic zone will be beneficial for her. So let's experiment with that. So with this team, we're going to try fighting a level 10 super boss, the Mysterious Chaos Ogre Hard. He has a barrier, so that will allow me to showcase Alma's barrier piercing ability. Now this team is a fairly advanced team. Alma, Xion, Iffy, and Radius are all pretty strong characters in their own right. Radius is the meta tank at the current time. Iffy is probably one of the most valuable characters and one of the most flexible characters in the game right now. And Xion is just hard to get because it requires opuses, and there's really no good way to farm them. So this is a hard team to assemble, but I think it really improves Alma's damage extremely well. Alma and Xion work really well together. Xion has a Paper Tiger skill that will turn resistances into weaknesses. So just like Alma, he can manipulate weaknesses as well. He has an attack order, which allows me to place a magic zone at any given time, and it inflicts break as well, so I can improve Alma's damage by casting this right before she goes. I also have Suzaku Encirclement and Illusion Black Dragon. Illusion Black Dragon will improve the party's weak point damage for 3 turns, and within another zone, it also improves magic damage based on MP value, and if you remember, Alma does magic damage. Suzaku Encirclement will, among other things, awaken a zone. So he can set a zone, awaken it, and improve the party's weak point damage and magic damage. So very good complement to Alma. Iffy, by being in the front row, allows everyone to have a revive. She puts everyone in a lunatic status, which will improve their magic damage. And she's just a really awesome character in general. She's my pain setter for Alma. But in addition, one of her skills, once I find it, Nocturnal Procession, improves the party's power by 50%. And Alma needs power, so she works out really well for Alma. She also happens to be a gun user as well, so she can hold the almighty power gun, Grasta, which frees up the back characters to hold other things. Radius doesn't really do anything to boost Alma's power. Radius is there basically to keep Alma alive. So Mistrari, you don't have to have her. She's a bow user. Any bow user like Xion or others can work. But Mistrari is holding the Power of Crystal bow, enhance at low HP bow, and enhance if max HP bow. Now this boss that we're about to fight has a curse that will do a lot of damage to the team every single turn. So Alma will probably never be at max HP, but she will probably be below 80% most of the time. So this Grasta should kick in and give her an extra 40% damage. Bivette, same old Bivette since the beginning. Enhance if she has max HP for staff and Inferno staff, neither of which help Alma. However, she has the cat lover Grasta, which does. So, same old Bivette. Sidekicks are Tetra and Gunts. Tetra for healing and just improving the maximum mana power. Remember when his aura triggers, Alma's magic power, magic points, will go up 25%. And if you remember, Xion's skill, Illusion Black Dragon, improves magic damage based on MP value. So if Alma's max MP value goes up, her magic damage will also go up thanks to this buff. So a lot of synergy between the two of them and Tetra. And then Gunts, remember that when the AF bar is empty, all party member stats go up by 20%, including Alma's power. And I do plan on blowing the AF bar at the start of the fight to set up some things. So this particular boss is a level 10 boss according to the Wikipedia. Keep in mind that there's only 11 levels, so he's definitely up there. He has a 35 stack of barriers, and I do not have any upgraded items helping me in this fight. I have basically what it came with, so I don't have any extra benefits. So we are going to fight the Mysterious Chaos Ogre hard. Alright, there's the 35 stack barrier. Doesn't matter since Ether Alchema can barrier pierce. However, you'll notice that he is resistant right now to crystal. You can see it in the background where it says resist. So we're going to use Paper Tiger, which will swap weak points around. She's going to go ahead and Lunatic, Pain Poison, and Overwhelm, which basically creates defenses for the whole team. Tetra's aura has kicked in. You can see that they have yellow for their health. At least they did until the curse hit. So that means Alma's maximum mana is higher than normal. So what we're going to do, we're going to blow the AF bar. She is going to just cast Ether Alchema the whole time, which you'll notice now in the background it says it's weak. Xion is going to try and work in all three of these. He's going to cast Magic Stance, he's going to awaken it, and then he's going to cast the buff that improves magic damage and improves weak point damage. She's just going to cast Nocturnal Procession once for the power, and she's going to continue to overwhelm. So let's see how fast I can do this. Alright, everything is set up. Alma did 628 million damage during that AF bar. The Chaos Ogre has one last attack that will kill my team. So basically, you have to kill it, its last 10%, before it kills you. Now, if we check Alma's status, we see that she has her Lunatic going. She had her max MP improved upon. Her stats are now raised by 20%, so those are all thanks to Tetra and Guns. She has the Lunatic Risk Taker effect from Iffy. Her type attacks, one is the Cat Lover Grasta, one is the Gun Grasta. Her crystal type attack is improved as well, thanks to the crystal Grasta that Mr. R is holding. And then you see all of her many buffs. So Xion is going to cast Attack Order, which will inflict a break on the boss, and she is going to Ether Alchema. The other two characters, it doesn't really matter what they do. And let's see what damage we get. There's the break, there's the damage. 2.147. If you see that number, you know that you have hit the damage cap. One character cannot get higher than that number. So little Alma, who at the start of the game was only doing a couple million on a test dummy, has now been proven to have a barrier-piercing max damage attack on a level 10 super boss, no less. So that's basically why I feel that Alma is kind of up there in the rankings. Maybe not quite Sesta, Minalka, Yakumo level DPS, but she can max damage, she can barrier pierce. There's really nothing not to like about her as long as you have the right support for her. She's one of those characters that you really have to stop and kind of figure out how to use, and then you have to really hope that you have the characters, particularly those three, that can allow her to reach that kind of a damage cap. So there you go. Alma went from a couple million on a test dummy to 2,147,000,000, etc. on a level 10 super boss. So for people that pull Alma, what you need to realize is that she really shines when she can manipulate and be strong against bosses. Basically manipulate their weaknesses. Things like test dummies don't work too well because they don't have weaknesses, which means other super bosses that don't have weaknesses, Alma's not going to be that strong either. Alma's one of those characters that you really need a good support team in order to make the most of. And not everyone has the characters that work well with Alma. But if you do, I think she's just as strong as any of the other meta characters. I hope this helps you when you're working with your Alma, and good luck to you with the upcoming pulls for Alma's AS. Casual Crono, signing out.